Hey there, guys and girls. This is your girl, Green Fire Motivation, aka Judy Owens. How are you guys doing? It's Motivation Monday. So, I have a question for you as always. The question today is, if I said that one bad apple spoils the lot, would you agree with me? If I said one bad apple spoils the bunch, would you agree with me? All right, so welcome to the Green Fire Motivation channel. Once again, my name is Judy Owens. The intention of this channel is to get you to take action and take control of your life. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can keep your motivational flame burning green. Also, if you'll go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, because I know you're going to like the content that I'm bringing to you. And if you don't, at least I like it. Ha ha. And then also comment on the video with any suggestions for future topics, or even comment on your favorite part of the video and, what you liked about it. Also, if you can hit that bell, that way anytime I load videos, it'll automatically send you a notification that a new video is live. I do record my videos and post them every Monday. So once again, this is Motivation Monday. All right, so back to our topic. If I said that one bad apple spoils the bunch, would you agree with me? If you agree with me, type one bad apple spoils the bunch. Type that down in the comments right now. One bad apple spoils the bunch. I'll give you a couple of seconds to type. If you agree, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Go ahead and type it now. All right, I hear those keys. Click, 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 click. All right, faster, faster, faster. One bad apple spoils the bunch. Okay, so now that you have typed one bad apple spoils the bunch, did you type it? Did you type it? Did you type it? Okay, so I have to do a spoiler alert. That was actually a setup. That was a setup question, guys. Okay, so to be honest, if I were to say one bad apple spoils the bunch, I would have to disagree with myself. What? I know you're like, what? What does that mean? One bad apple does not spoil the bunch, guys. Okay, so if you've been following me thus far, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, one of the things that you should probably know about me right now is I like to think outside of the box. Because by staying in the box, that means we've already had that thought process prior to. That means we had already tried, whatever things that we had tried before. So in saying that, I disagree with myself, and I apologize for the setup question. One bad apple does not spoil the bunch. It's all contributed to how you're thinking about the apples, okay? It's all contributed to how you're thinking about the apples. Now, okay, so stick with me for 1 second. I'm going to go get something. Stay right there. Okay, so like I said, I like to think outside the box, right? Okay, so I have a prop. Da 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 da. All right, so does anybody know what this is? If you know what this is, type it in the comments. Does anybody know what this is? If you know what this is, go ahead and put my hand behind it. Type it in the comments if you know what that is. La, 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 la. What is it, guys? What is it? Okay, so it's a potato peeler. Type potato peeler in the comments. If you knew it was a potato peeler, go ahead and pat yourself on the back. If you didn't know it was a potato peeler, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Okay, so here's the deal, right? We use the analogy one bad apple does not spoil the bunch, right? Okay, well, let's use the analogy of a potato. If you ever peeled a potato for mashed potatoes, for stewed potatoes, for potato salad, what have you, then you've probably seen a potato that may have had some eyes on it. And if you don't know what that is, that means little dents where you have to carve them out so that when you finish peeling the potato, you have a perfectly white potato, right? Okay, so have you ever really taken a look at this right here? You see that little end piece right there? Has anybody ever paid attention to that little point right there? That's the point that you use to take the eyes out of the potatoes, right? Okay, so if you take the eyes out of the potatoes, excuse me, guys. Okay, so sorry, guys. Okay, so just a heads up, I have a cold. Like, my nose was all kind of messed up this morning, so I was literally like knocked out most of the day I slept. So if I sneeze a couple of times, I apologize. Just say bless you and keep the video going. Okay, so like I was saying, the potato peeler has a point on the end, and that's what gets the eyes out of the potatoes. The point right there, right? So by the time you finish peeling and taking all the eyes out of the potatoes, now you have a perfect potato. Now, say for example, you wouldn't take that potato and say, "Oh my gosh, this potato has so many eyes in it. I'm just gonna throw it away." Would you throw away the potato? No. Somebody type in the comments, say keep the potato. Type in the comments, keep the potato. You're not going to throw away the potato because it's got some eyes in it. You're going to take the eyes out and get rid of the potato, right? Right. Okay, so here we go. Just like with the apple, you're not going to take a whole bag of apples and throw them away if it's just one bad apple. What are you going to do? You're going to take the one apple out and you're going to keep the rest of the apples, right? So somebody type in the comments, keep the apples, keep the good apples, keep the good apples, okay? So I'm doing quite a bit of analogies because I want to really drill home the point at the end of the video. So if you're still here, stay here so you can get and understand why I'm using all these different analogies, okay? So say, for example, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, whoop, whoop, stand up. Okay, so if you're from Brooklyn, say whoop, whoop. Say I'm from Brooklyn. Type that in the comments. But anyways, so I'm from Brooklyn, New York, right? Okay, so say, for example, you have someone who's never been to Brooklyn before, right? However, they might watch the news. So if they watch the world news or, news that reports from other areas or whatever, and say, for example, they look on the news and every time they look at the news, they always hear something bad about Brooklyn, right? Somebody, got hurt. Somebody died. Somebody, was assaulted, different things like that. So say, for example, every time they watch this world news, this is the only picture that's being painted. So if they've never been there before, never experienced Brooklyn before, they're automatically going to assume that this is a really bad place. And they're going to say, I don't want to go there. That place is horrible. Every time I hear about it, there's always something bad happening, right? Okay, so they're shaping and basing their opinions on the news, right? Which, to be honest, if they've never been there, they don't really have any other way to, to pose their opinions because this is all that they ever see. However, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. For 22 years, I lived there. So to be honest, for me personally, my personal experience is that out of the 22 years I was there, I've seen maybe 2 really serious incidents. So when I look at, people saying Brooklyn is bad, Brooklyn is horrible, Brooklyn is this, Brooklyn is that, and I'm like, well, I hear you, but are you getting your information from someone else? Or are you going based off what you have personally experienced? Right? Okay. Now, take this for example. I actually did a little bit of research on Google and I found that Brooklyn has a population of 2.6, it was either million or billion people, right? So obviously the more people that are grouped together, more than likely it's going to be the higher the crime factors, right? Okay. So if you think about it, 2 incidents in 22 years, would I say that Brooklyn was a bad place? No, right? But like I said, for someone who's never been there, they're thinking, oh, it's a horrible place. Well, what type of perspective do you have? Are you taking that from personal experience or are you taking it for what someone else said? Talk to the people who live in Brooklyn. Will they all say it's a bad place? Probably not, because if it was all that bad, they would not still be there. I'm just saying, right? Okay, so all right, so now the crux of the video, right? Okay, so I used the analogy of the apple, right? Okay, so one bad apple does not spoil the bunch. What do? You get the bad apple out, and then you keep the rest of the apples, right? Okay, so we already typed keep the good apples at the bottom of the comments, right? Okay, so then we talked about the potato, right? So we talked about the potato, cut the eyes out of the potato, and what do? You keep the potato. We typed that in the comments, right? Okay, so I've lived in Brooklyn, and I know that it may be considered to be a bad place based on what the news says, but really the news can only report a certain amount of information in a very small increment of time. So when you think about all the good things that happen that you don't hear, compare that to all the bad things that happen that you do hear, and you'll find that there's a lot more good happening than bad. So what's happening here is you're getting the negative perspective on Brooklyn. But what you need to do is you need to find a way to find the positive perspective on Brooklyn, right? Okay, so I said all that to say, this is actually the second part of staying positive. One of my subscribers, which he said not to mention his name, but he knows who he is, actually requested that I do the topic staying positive while the police are killing us, and that is hard to see on the news, right? Okay, so here's the deal. I said all that to say, now more than ever, the African American race, the black race, the colored race, the Negro race, however you want to term it, is speaking out against the injustices that are happening with authority figures versus our black males, right? Okay, so what I talked about last week was staying positive, okay? Things have changed. Things are changing, and things will continue to change. For example, now we're able to speak out about the injustices and not get hosed down by water hoses and not get shot down in crowds and all this stuff. Now, things are still changing, so we have to stay positive that things are still changing. In saying that, we need to change our perspective on how we view the police, okay? We need to change our perspective on how we view the police. Now, once again, reverting back to how the news may have reported Brooklyn as, all the bad things that's happening. Well, what is it? Okay, so the news has exactly what? An hour, 2 at most, to report all the different scenarios and things that are going on in the world or in that particular area of the world, that state, that city, and whatnot, right? So they can't possibly report every single detail of what happens in a day every single day. So they have to take what they feel is the most important information, and that's what they report on. So they're reporting on things that they feel we need to know, which isn't a bad thing. That's what they're supposed to do. They're trying to make us aware. They're trying to make us aware of what's going on around us, which is not a bad thing. But what happens sometimes is we take the information that they give us and we glorify the negative side of it, which is not what we want to do. We want to stay positive, knowing that things have changed, things are changing, and things will change. In saying that, the police are not bad. All police are not bad. All police are not bad. However, there are some bad apples and there are some eyes. There's some bad apples that need to be thrown away, and there's some eyes that need to be carved out, right? Okay, well, the reason why I'm saying this is because we need to step away from the thought that all police are bad, because that's the same way saying one bad apple, that means all the apples are bad. That's the same way saying as the potato has too many eyes in it, so it's all bad. It's the same thing as saying that because every time they report on Brooklyn, they report something bad, all of Brooklyn is bad. That's not the case. And the same scenario with the police, because one police officer took it upon himself or herself to do something that they weren't supposed to do. That does not mean that all police officers are bad. The whole point of the police is to protect and to serve the community, protect and serve their surroundings, protect and serve each other. Right. But one bad apple, one bad potato, one bad police report does not make all police bad. Okay? Hear me when I say that. One bad apple, one bad potato, one bad news reporting does not make all police bad. Now, I'm not trying to dumb down, the things that are happening around us where, authority figures are taking advantage of their power and using it against people who they feel have no power. I'm not dumbing that down, but what I want you to understand is we have to change our thinking. And the reason why I say we have to change our thinking is because as much as we can beat up on and talk bad about the police, when you need somebody to help you, who are you going to call? You're not going to call Ghostbusters. You're going to call the police, right? Okay, so say, for example, you have an emergency situation. You stranded on the side of the road. You call 911. Who they going to send? they're going to send the police. So you're sitting there thinking about that one police officer that did XYZ, and this whole police officer is here to help you. Now you're looking at them sideways. Why? Why? Do we need to look at them sideways? No. Right? Okay, once again, one bad apple, one bad potato, one bad news report does not mean all police officers are bad. Okay, here's another example. Say, for example, somebody trespasses onto your property. They break into your house. Who are you going to call? You're not going to call Ghostbusters. You're going to call the police. And what are you going to expect them to do when they get there? Protect and serve you and your property and your family if they're on the premises, right? Okay, now say for another example, if you have a domestic abuse situation, a man is beating on a woman, or a woman is beating on a man, and you're not going to call Ghostbusters, you're going to call the police. What are you going to expect them to do? Protect and serve whoever's having the issue, right? Okay, so what about if your car is stolen? Who are you going to call? You're not going to call Ghostbusters, are you? No, you're going to call the police. And what do you expect them to do when they get there? Protect and serve. So understand that even though there are some bad apples, there are some eyes of the potatoes, there are some bad news reportings, does not make all police bad. You're still going to need them at some point or another. So you don't need to be chastising them and talking bad about them. Look, okay, if you talk bad about the ones who did bad, that's not talking bad about, that's just stating facts. But understand that every single police officer is an individual. Every single police officer is a person who has a family, who has a mom, a dad, an uncle, an aunt, a sister, children. They're just like you and me. And just like me and you, they're imperfect as well. Okay? They're imperfect as well. But just because one of them decides that they're going to take actions that are not appropriate to protecting and serving does not mean we need to crucify all of them. Okay? One bad apple, one bad potato, one bad news reporting does not make all police officers bad. Okay? Matter of fact, the next time, this is what I want you to do. This is Green Fire Motivation telling you, this is what you do. Throughout the process of COVID-19, right? We see all of these different signs saying, healthcare workers, appreciate them. Healthcare workers, thank you for your assistance. Healthcare workers, you guys are the bomb.com. For years and years, they've gone unnoticed. They give their life, they give their time, they give their love, they give their affection to people that they don't even know all day long, and they went unnoticed, right? But when the pandemic hit, now all of a sudden it's thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service, which is great. But I just think sometimes it's unfortunate that we had to wait for it to be such extenuating circumstances before we actually showed our appreciation for them. And I say all that to say, matter of fact, not only that, what about the store clerks? What about people who work at Food Lion? What about people who work at Walmart? What about people who work at Piggly Wiggly? Right? When everything else was shut down, they were still open. Them same employees that can get paid $8.25 an hour to stand on their feet all day, and at the end of their shift, their feet is hurting. They can't wait to go sit down. Now, all of a sudden, we appreciate them. They've been going unnoticed. They've been going unnoticed, unthanked, looked down upon because they have the lower paying positions. But what happened when everything shut down? The country was pretty much standing on their shoulders because the only thing that was necessary was food and toilet paper. Okay? So hear me when I say this, right? Police officers, they go unnoticed. They go unnoticed. So guess what we need to do? We need to go unnoticed and say, hey, next time you see a police officer, this is what Green Fire Motivation is telling you to do. The next time you see a police officer, forget about hitting your brakes because you're speeding. Okay? Forget about hitting your brakes because you're speeding. Forget about the fact that they have a gun on their hip. Because, that's what they're supposed to do. It's a part of their uniform. Tell them, thank you for your service. Tell them, I appreciate your service. Tell them, I thank you for putting your life on the line so that I can have the freedom that I have. Understand, they go unappreciated. They go unappreciated. Why? Because every time you turn on the news, what do you hear about? You hear about another black person being gunned down by a white officer. Understand, just because you hear that one incident does not mean that every single police officer is like that, okay? One bad apple needs to be thrown out. One bad potato needs to be carved out. And one bad news reporting is only one news reporting. Stop glorifying the fact that you think police officers are bad. Just throw away that bad apple police officer, carve out the eyes of that bad police officer, strike from the record that news reporting, and understand that there are way more good police officers than bad police officers, okay? Now, I can't drill that home enough, okay? I can't drill that home enough, okay? So, once again, this is Green Fire Motivation telling you, okay? Pluck out the bad apples, carve out the eyes of the potatoes, and we'll have left all the good police officers who are willing to serve and protect the people. Stay positive, knowing that all police officers are not bad apples. This your girl, Green Fire Motivation. Green means go. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Bye!